Welcome to the Starborne Awakening Library. Tonight's story is The First Seed. There was once an old orchard where countless trees stretched toward the sky. Some were tall and strong, some bent beneath the weight of sweet fruit. Others had stood there so long that no one remembered who had planted them. At the edge of the orchard lived an elderly gardener. Every spring, children would ask him the same question. "Which tree is your favorite?" He would smile. "The one no one can see yet." The children looked around in confusion. There were apple trees, pear trees, cherry trees. Not a single empty place remained. "What do you mean?" The gardener knelt and gently opened his hand. Resting in his palm was a tiny seed. "This one." The children laughed. "That's not a tree." "Not yet." The old gardener smiled. "But every forest begins this way." One curious boy asked, "How long before it becomes a tree?" The gardener looked toward the towering orchard. "Longer than most people are willing to wait." The next morning the boy planted the seed beside the old gardener. Every day he returned. He watered the soil. He watched. Nothing happened. A week passed, still nothing. A month passed, still nothing. One afternoon he sighed. "I don't think it's growing." The old gardener gently pressed his hand against the earth. "Are you certain?" "I don't see anything." "That's because you're looking in the wrong direction." The boy frowned. The first work of a seed is not upward. It is downward. It must grow roots before it reaches for the sun. The boy thought quietly about those words. So he kept returning, not because he expected to see something, but because he trusted something was happening. The seasons turned. One morning, a tiny green shoot finally pushed through the soil. The boy smiled. "I knew it." The gardener chuckled softly. "No, you hoped, and hope kept you coming back." Years passed. The little tree slowly reached toward the sky. Its trunk thickened. Its branches stretched wider each season. Still it bore no fruit. The now grown boy became impatient once more. "Why is it taking so long?" The old gardener pointed toward the oldest trees in the orchard. "They are generous today because they were patient yesterday." The young man nodded. He continued caring for the tree, not for weeks, not for months, but for years. Then one autumn morning he noticed something small. Tiny blossoms had become tiny fruit. By harvest, children gathered beneath the branches. Families filled baskets with apples. Birds nested among the leaves. Travelers rested in its shade. A little girl asked him, "Did you grow this tree?" He smiled. "I helped." The seed already knew what it wanted to become. Years later, after the old gardener had passed on, the man stood beneath the great tree with children gathered around him. One asked, "What is the most important part of growing a tree?" He reached into his pocket, opened his hand, and revealed a tiny seed. Then he smiled. "The beginning." Not because it is the biggest, not because it is the strongest, but because every great tree, every orchard, every forest, and every future begins with someone willing to plant what they may never fully live to see. The smallest beginnings often carry the greatest possibilities. Every act of kindness, every lesson shared, every dream pursued, every life transformed, once began as a single seed, quietly entrusted to the earth. For the future is rarely built all at once. It grows, one seed at a time. Modern fables for the human spirit. Starborne Awakening. Remember the light. Embody the light.